The water utility takes the water from fresh water sources and pumps it into the water treatment plant. One of the first things the water treatment operator looks at is turbidity. Turbidity is a fancy word for the amount of particles or things in the water that can make it look cloudy. These particles could be things like sand and tiny rocks, along with bacteria and viruses that can make people sick. The water treatment operator removes all of the bad stuff by cleaning or treating the water through a process called water treatment. Water treatment is made up of several stages, some with really big words: coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, filtration, and disinfection. You may not have heard some of those words before, so let's go through each of them and talk about what they mean. Coagulation. In this first step, a chemical called a coagulant is added to the water. This chemical helps tiny particles in the water clump together to form larger and heavier particles. This makes them easier to remove. Plant operators are always monitoring the water coming into the plant and making adjustments to the coagulant chemical as needed. Flocculation. In the next step, the water is gently stirred to bring the clumps of particles made during coagulation together to make even larger clumps. The clumps of particles made during flocculation are referred to as floc. Once floc is the right size, it's time to separate it from the water. That happens in the next step. Sedimentation. During sedimentation, the water flow is slowed down even more, and gravity causes the heavy floc particles to sink to the bottom of the tank. The particles then become very easy to remove. Once the particles are out of the water, it's time to send the water through a filter to take out even smaller particles that got away. Filtration. Any remaining particles in the water that weren't removed in the first few steps of the treatment process are taken out when the water flows through a filter. There are a couple different ways to filter water. Most utilities use filters that are made of layered gravel and sand. The water moves slowly through the filter. Any particles or substances that cause the water to taste, smell, or look bad are removed. After filtration, the water is almost ready to drink and use. The only thing left to do is disinfection.